Remember when we were digging that beaver out?
Yeah.
Can't talk about that too much, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's alright. We got it out. We did.
Yeah.
And we worked out. It was worth it. It was fun.
Oh yeah. It's a good way to spend my Sunday morning.
Yeah. It's always a good way out in the woods, doing something, productive.
Yeah.
But now we're back to school. That's great.
Take me back.
Enjoying it. First day, yesterday, a little rough.
Whatever. It's almost over.
Almost. It's Tuesday, we're almost through, so.
Yep. It's
But-
almost hump day.
Yeah. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're gonna be talking about how to be courageous and bold with
Yep.
your faith, and we'll be pulling some Bible stories and just explaining it better.
Yeah. Especially with a lot of things that are happening in the current times, this is something that we need to definitely pay attention to.
Yeah, definitely. So to start off, we've been looking, we've been thinking and trying to figure out what we were gonna talk about, and we have all these good ideas, and then we think we're prepared, and we kind of forget as we come. So I guess before we start, do you have anything you'd like to say? Just in general about what we're gonna talk about today.
I don't think so. I
No?
think I'm good for right now.
All right, so I guess we'll just jump right into the word, and so it's and something we thought of. Well, you thought of actually as we were getting ready this morning was the David and Goliath story,
Yep.
and I think that's about as good a way to talk about boldness and courage and faith in God as by talking about this story.
Great.
It's really a big point in the Bible, and it's a good example to follow. And if he could do it, anyone can do it. So we'll talk a little more about that.
Read the first verse.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
So we're gonna start in 1 Samuel 17, verse 14. So this is talking about. This is kind of giving a little background on who David was. David was the youngest. The three eldest followed Saul, but David went back and forth from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. So David, being a little shepherd boy,
Yeah.
he's the youngest of his brothers. And
Youngest. Kind of the runt of the litter.
yeah. And Jesse said to David, his son, "Take forth your brothers an ephah of this parched grain, and these 10 loaves, and carry them quickly to the camp of your brothers. Also take these 10 cheeses to the commander of their thousands. See if your brothers are well, and bring some token from them." So, and that, we're thinking behind that is, David wasn't even supposed to be at the battlefield,
Right.
that was not,
He was sent from home to go check on his brothers who were supposed to be in the battlefield.
yeah. And he was, that was just coincidence that he was, sent to.
Well, not a coincidence.
Well,
I would
no,
say.
but, it was planned, of course, but, his parents, were just sending him to go care for his brother.
Yeah, it was more of a godsend than any human, because in anybody's on Earth's right mind, he would not be sent to a battle such as this one, but
Yeah.
God saw something more.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like we said, he was just, delivering to take care of his older brothers. So, and then we're going to jump over to verse 28, still in chapter 17 of 1 Samuel. Now Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men, and this is after he's already arrived at the camp, and he's there and delivering the gifts. I don't know if you call it gifts, just food and stuff.
Food, yeah.
His mother sent.
Sure, to them it is gifts.
And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, Why have you come down? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your presumption and the evil of your heart, for you have come down to see the battle. So, his brothers, they thought, they were upset with him being there. They didn't want him to
Right.
be anywhere near the battle.
So even they thought he was the little guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. And, I imagine it was just like any other relationship with siblings today. You pick on the little brother.
Pick on the little guy.
But yeah,
Right.
So they were upset with him being there too. And then we were going to jump to verse 47.
46, I think.
46, was it?
Yeah. In the Lord.
Oh, yes. Well, okay, yeah, here, would you like to read?
I can read it, yeah.
Read 46. Oh, almost lost it.
Okay. Where are we at? Okay. And the day of the Lord will deliver you unto my hand, and I will strike down and cut off your head. And it will give dead bodies of the host of Philistines this day to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. So he's clearly saying that he was sent by God.
Yeah.
Because
And, and he was not, he wasn't worthy of the job. Like, in human eyes, he was not, he wasn't fit. He wasn't,
right.
and none of the bigger guys, none of the, the leaders of the army, or none of them would face Goliath. But here you got your little shepherd boy that delivers bread and grain, and
Yeah. Well, it says, or, it more implies that he had more courage than strength, and was through God, and that's what we needed.
yeah.
Well,
and also, it kind of says, those the other people of the army, they said the Lord was on their side, but David really, truly believed
he
it.
knew the Lord.
He truly, he believed. He was a little more, faithful in God that, he would deliver him,
Right.
and that's, and if that, that's inspiring to think, that even if you're a little guy,
Right.
if you just
Everything through the Lord is
you just gotta
possible.
trust, and that kind of, ties in with our name, also.
Yeah.
Name of the podcast, No Game, No Shame, and it's basically, just you don't have to be, you don't have to have any game, you don't have to be worthy of the position, you don't have
The
to,
biggest guy out there.
yeah, you don't have to be able to, you don't have to be good with words. Moses, he wasn't good with words. He had a speech impediment, but God chose him to save his people. And,
Right.
He didn't have, as people say nowadays, he didn't have game. He wouldn't be fitting for the job. And David, he was just a shepherd boy. He wasn't prepared. He didn't take, he tried on armor, but it didn't,
Yep.
he had the one true armor, and that was Jesus.
But he had no shame of it.
And
He
yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
shameful of it.
Just because you're not worth, fitting in the image of people, just because you don't have to be shameful of it, and you should be, you should still just go for it because God's with you.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's kind of, that kind of ties in with our name pretty good.
Yep. And it shows us that we need to stay faithful
And trust
in God.
Yeah.
Trust Him, because He's got a plan
Yeah.
always.
I had another verse that I was going to kind of correlate this with. It's talking about, this is kind of a reassurance and a hope that we have that David didn't have, at the time. And that's, so I'm in, let's see, where am I? I'm in John 17, verse 25. And actually, not verse 25, I'm going to drop down to verse 33. The section name is I have overcome the world. So I'm going to read from verse 33. I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And that's actually verse 6, or chapter 16, verse 33.
Yep.
So that, David, I mean, that's a verse that we can refer to and know, in
Yep.
the end, Jesus wins. So why,
It's not about the materialistic things that everybody looks for nowadays. It's about God in the end, He's always here, and He's the main thing we need to keep our eye on.
and that should, that should give us motivation and drive. And that should really, reassure us that in the end, we know who wins, and
Yep.
we don't, knowing that, we shouldn't have trouble being bold.
Agreed.
But it's still hard, it's still going to be hard.
Well, with as many people as we have in our daily society that don't look at God and they just look at every lust that they have currently, it's hard to stay in a godly view with everybody telling you it's wrong.
Yeah, and that's worldly things.
Yep.
In this life, they seem, important, but then I sit down and think, and they're not that important. They seem like it at the time
Exactly.
for the 80, 90 years you're on this earth, but
If you're lucky.
yeah. I saw this thing, and it was a rope. There's a big long rope.
Yep.
One little end was painted red.
They tied a little knot in it or something like
And
that.
that's this life, and then there's,
The rest of it is their life.
that kind of helps put a little perspective on, like, this life is nothing.
This isn't worth it.
No,
Right?
and then I think that, I'm like, I'll be in a good, thinking about the Bible, and I'm like, well, shoot, why do I even care? Like, that's all I should be doing, is going around telling people about the good news, and, and then, you still don't, it's like,
Yeah.
and then I stop, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why do I even bother worrying about other stuff? Like, but and that's the thing, is with sin, it'll always be difficult. And
In my church, we're going over Ecclesiastes, I think, maybe. And it says that everything on the earth was given to us for our luxuries,
yeah,
for us. But it also says that we can't take advantage of it, And
Yeah.
that seems to be what everybody's doing nowadays, is taking advantage of it rather than not taking it for granted.
yeah. And let's see, I had another verse, which
In Matthew 24, wasn't it?
was it?
I think so.
No, that was what we were going to talk about for the.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the one. It was. We talked about it in the church that I go to, and see if I can find it, and if not, I'll just go off what I remember. Oh yes, here it is. It's John 5, verse 19. It's titled "The Authority of the Son," and so this is talking about, So here, I'll just read it. So Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of his own accord, but only what he sees the Father doing. For whatever the Father does, that the Son does likewise." So, what we talked about in church was, Jesus, he only did things that he saw and the Father do, and say things, yeah. So, so he had no power unless it was with God,
Yep.
through God. So that was kind of what we did in church, is we were, just asking God to, help you to see through, see things how he sees things a little more, and
Exactly.
give you different perspective on things. And That way, you can, you'll be able to do, because our call, our mission as Christians is if you were to ask most Christians, it'd be to be like Jesus, to be
Yeah.
more like Jesus.
Exactly.
And that's kind of this verse, it really tells you, to be like Jesus, you need to, have the Father's perspective.
Yep.
Try to, pray for that. But yeah, so that's kind of what we went over in church, and I thought it was pretty good.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That helps us keep it in mind, sometimes if you just think in a godly way, you know that it's going to come out right, And for Jesus, it didn't come out how he thought it was going to, or not necessarily how he thought it was going to, but not in the best circumstances for him, because he was crucified,
Yeah.
But,
But
it
that
came
was
out,
that was a
it was in
big
best
piece of the
intentions
story.
for everybody else, and
Yeah.
that was God's plan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
some
see
people
what you're
just have
saying.
a hard time seeing that sometimes,
God, those, there's a song in VBS, like Vacation Bible School, if you wonder, what that is.
Yeah.
It's like something like what was intended for evil, you do for good,
Right.
So, that's kind of like what we said earlier, last episode was, sometimes in the moment, things will seem tough, but once you're through, something good comes out of it.
Yep. Even if it's not how you view it,
Yeah.
We've all had situations like that. We just have to make sure that we keep our eye on what's truly important,
Yeah.
what's actually going to work out.
Yeah, definitely. And referring to the Bible will help with that, just
Yep.
you can have that reassurance, and we know who wins in the end, and set our eyes on that. And that's really, kind of why we're here too, is we want to help prepare others for, eternity with Him.
Right.
And just because eternity without God just doesn't sound
Sounds boring.
well, it sounds terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
The Bible, Revelations talks about what hell will be like, and not something I want to be there forever,
Yeah.
or any amount of time. So that, if you stop and think about, heaven and eternity, just think about eternity, like
Eternity in the most perfect place possible.
I think about it like, that's it, we can't comprehend it, like it's a weird,
No.
like, wow, forever, really? What are we gonna do? But then I think like I think it's crazy, and but then I think, well, what did I think happened when you died before I thought, like it's hard to think about, it's weird to think about, and we can't comprehend it.
No.
But
Just have to
hope, and
stay faithful and wait.
yeah.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, and there's also some Bible verses that talk how we need to be watchtowers for others, and help prepare people.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do you want to go into what's happening today with
Yeah. So
the
just a little backstory, in keeping strong with your faith, there's lots of things going around in threats between different countries, and the World War III.
I'm sure, I'm sure most of you have heard of it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but
No,
starting to pick up bits and pieces. But
Yeah, I don't want to have to worry about logistics too much, but
Yeah.
There's many verses that state certain situations like this,
Yeah.
and but that also kind of comes from what we just talked about, and having faith and being strong in the Lord. I mean, no matter what happens today or tomorrow, the Lord is planning it out. This
Yeah.
is in the Lord's design.
Well, yeah, and the Bible also talks a lot about persecution and how we're going to face persecution too, and we'll go
Right.
more into that later,
Yep.
in other episodes, because, that's a big topic, is being prepared for persecution, and,
Right.
staying strong in it, not denying our faith. And So kind of with the current issue of World War III, or, you know, I mean, we're not here to sway anybody. We're just here to talk about it and
Yeah.
look at it through a godly perspective. And just kind of with that, you know,
Make a few
I was-
connections, you know.
yeah, and I was, you know, skimming through earlier when we were getting ready and came across a verse in the Bible, and it's kind of interesting, kind of funny. You know, it's funny how you look through something and there it is. And so, as our pastor describes it, you ever been looking through the Bible and found a verse that was never there before?
Yeah, right.
When really it
Makes
was,
sense.
you know, it was there, but
Yeah.
so this
I
is,
never noticed it.
yeah, this is in Matthew 24, and so the whole story starts in verse 3, and the name of it is Signs of the Close of the Age, which, you know, and then, I don't know, I was just skimming through and found it when we were talking, so that's fine. I'm going to start with alright, here we go, verse 6, Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginning of the birth pains. So that's, you know,
It's
we have rumors of
Wars.
wars
Yep.
going on, right?
Nations against nations.
Nations against, you know, and
And then
there's lots of rumors about that.
outbreaks of plague and sickness is a big deal nowadays, you know.
Yeah,
And just, I mean, Australia's on fire right now.
yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's in the
interesting.
Bible.
It's interesting how it connects with stuff like this, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't specifically say,
No.
you know,
Yeah.
but it's broad enough to you can connect it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's rumors going around right now, and we were talking about those rumors, and then we came across this, and it's
It just
all
appeared though.
prophesied in the Bible.
It
So
wasn't necessarily like we were just searching it out, you know, it just was something that
showed up.
it was there.
Yeah. You know, and we'll talk more about that a little bit. You know, go a little more into depth maybe later on, but.
Maybe. As smoke clears maybe a little bit. in
Yeah.
areas.
We don't want to, you know, I mean, we're not here to, you know, talk too much about politics,
Yep.
and share bias and stuff, but we're just, you know, want to clear some things up that people may have questions about, so.
Yep.
Well, I think we really, you know, covered what we were wanting to cover today with being courageous, and
Yep. And staying strong, you know.
how David was a good example of that, and
Yep.
how that correlates to our name too,
Exactly.
name of the podcast, and
Might be the small guy, but don't be ashamed.
don't be ashamed of not having game.
Exactly.
Not being qualified.
Yep.
There's no definition of being qualified to serve God. So
Yep.
even if you feel
He
like you're not
chose everyone for a reason.
exactly. Even if you don't seem qualified, you're more than qualified.
Yep.
So, well, thank you guys. We had a good time here talking today, this morning. Nice and warm in here. Wood stove again. It's
Yes,
been-
sir.
Not sure what we would do without it because it's too cold.
See your shiver at the entire
We'd have
podcast.
our,
Yeah.
you'd see our
You'd be
breaths,
able to
but
see our breath.
yeah. Well, thank you guys again, and yeah, see you next time.